Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Please remember guys to subscribe if you are new. Drop your comments and like this video. Also share the video and the channel. Let's get into the video. I hope you're hearing me. I don't want to talk too loud and disturb anybody next door. You know what, let me do a sound check. So I had to move because the heater is just way too loud and I didn't like the sound in the background, so I apologize for that in the intro. This video is not easy for me to make. I resigned since February and it is now almost June, and it wasn't an easy video, hence I didn't put it out. So a lot of you may think that, oh, I'm not follow her no more because she's too secretive and she likes to keep things. There's a little bit of truth to it, but I always try to be solid within myself before I share anything with people. Negative comments can really feed on your mind. Right now I'm in a space where I can talk about it, hence I'm just talking about it. So I couldn't talk about it when it just happened, as you will see as we progress in the video. Okay, so I really don't know where to start, but I will just start somewhere and just follow along. So as the title shows, I quit my 2 jobs. So just let's go back a bit to kind of get an understanding. This video might be a little bit long, so kind of brace yourself. I've always had 2 jobs since the new year of coming to Canada. So I came to Canada in 2021. That means that 2022 onward, I've always either had no jobs or 2 jobs. That being said, let's start with the easier one first as to why did I quit. I quit the hairdressing job. If you're following me for a while, a lot of you know me from that job. So I quit that job because when I got the job, it was more like a call basis. So I wasn't scheduled. It was more like, oh, I need help, can you come in? That type of thing. At one point I was scheduled, but after that and before that I was not. So I was like, I still kept the job because in case anything, it could be my backup. But it was just like I hadn't been called for probably a year or almost a year. So I'm like, why am I keeping space on the payroll? So I just decided to quit. But it was an awesome job. I definitely recommend, if you know how to do hair, I'll definitely recommend them to you. Awesome people. They have helped me so much during my process of settling here. And it is a tier 3 job, so that's good. But all good things must come to an end. But awesome boss. I don't bother anybody, nobody bothered me. It's good. Like, I have nothing bad to say about it. But the only reason why I quit is because I was not being called, and I have a job now that I feel is good enough, and I just didn't want to take up space. So that's it. As for my other job that I quit, yes, you guessed right, it is the airport job. So that is another job that I am known for because I've been making Instagram reels about it. I put it in my vlogs. So a lot of you know that I used to work there. So before I get into why I resigned, I'm gonna just talk about the job a bit, just to give you an idea. So I would say it's one of my favorite jobs. Just to backtrack a bit, when I applied for that job, I was kind of jobless. As I said, I had the hairdressing job. I did it for 2 years. So I had that job, but I was not being called. I was kind of jobless when I applied for the airport work. So I used to pray every day, asking God to bless me with a job. And I sent out a lot of applications, and it was the only place that responded. When I did the interview, they told the person that did the interview to take me, to hire me. Like, it was a sure hire. All of that told me that this job was an answered prayer. because everything that could go wrong went wrong on the day of the interview. As a matter of fact, I didn't even have anybody to keep my baby to go to the interview. So getting through with the job really showed me that it was an answered prayer, so it wasn't easy for me to leave. Next thing about the job itself, it is pretty easy. At first it's going to be a challenge if you have no aviation or any knowledge in airlines, traveling, all of that. It's a lot to grasp, but once you get it, you get it. Like, it will be a breeze for you. It was a breeze for me at one point. The hours, I really love the hours, because for me, I have very short attention span. The only 8-hour job I've ever worked is at a call center in Jamaica. I've never worked an 8-hour job. So to work small hours or less hours part-time, I'm perfectly fine with that, because even though it was part-time, there were opportunities to increase your hours to make it full-time. The next thing is, a lot of people didn't like my shift, but I love my shift. It is the Head Start shift, which means that you start between 2 and 4 a.m. and you finish by 5, 6. It's roughly like 3 to 4 hours when I initially started. But then my hours increased as times went by according to the needs of the company. So at one point I was working 6 hours, no break. So that was not giving. That was like taking a toll on me. So yeah, so I'm just telling you the little stuff that added up, and then in the end I'll kind of break it down as to exactly why. I had no issues with my co-worker, no issues with people in authority, none of that. My supervisor, manager, you name it, they were like actual people. They didn't behave like, oh, I am up here, you're down here. They're just lovely people. My co-workers, most of them on my shift, of course, were down to earth. They were very helpful, like very helpful. So if you need help, you don't have to worry about that. I had no issues with them. As a matter of fact, I rarely have issues with people, because stuff that bothers some people really don't bother me. I check people. Like, if I work with you and I know I'm gonna see you on a regular basis, I keep you in check, so you just know that you don't cross me, so we will have a great time. But it rarely happens where somebody will try to pass their place, as we say. Another thing about the hours that I liked is that at the time I just started learning to drive, and so I preferred to drive at that time when there's nobody on the road, so that I didn't get into any accidents. As for the pay was not bad. It's not the best, but considering what I was doing, the pay could be a bit more, obviously, but was not bad. And I had just left university, so it was adequate. It was adequate. You could have fun on the job, so you could take your phone. As you can see, I made videos after work, obviously, like I'm doing right now. I have a free time, hence I'm making this video. It's not during class time or anything, okay? So yeah, you can take your phone. That was good. Any job I work where I can take my phone, love, love, love. The next thing also is that you get to wear uniform. I really enjoyed that, because you know, you just look cute in your uniform. But after a while it started to get to me, because I like my individuality and I like to dress how I want to dress on some days. So it kind of started to get to me, and then I didn't have enough uniforms. I had to be washing. I'm gonna try to wrap up this video because it's my lunchtime. So yeah, I had to be washing uniforms on a regular basis when I'm tired. But I was grateful to have the entire day after work. I could run errands. I didn't have to cancel anything because I was free for the day. It's gonna get a bit noisy because it's now lunchtime. There are a lot of pros about the job, but I just can't really remember all of them right now. But there's also the pro of getting discounted tickets. Of course, there's a little bit of con to that, but you do get passes that you can use to travel with your family. A lot of people thought that I was a flight attendant. I was not a flight attendant. I was the check-in agent. those are the people that you go to when you go to the airport. The first contact people to show your passport, to get your ticket scanned and printed. Yeah, that was me. Because a lot of people are like, you really left the airport job for that job you already have? Like, yeah, obviously. So don't think that it was like up there in terms of say pay or experience or whatever, but great job. If I see any opening, I would definitely recommend people. Whenever I'm traveling, my co-workers are always, you know, we're always hugging, and you know, so it's good vibe. It wasn't easy for me to resign. I mean, none of my jobs that I resigned was easy for me. I don't know why it is so taboo to resign. Like, I don't know why it feels like a burden to resign. It wasn't easy. Like, I kept editing my resignation letter each time it passed the original date that I wanted to resign, because I just didn't want bad treatment. Because I gave them the 2 weeks, I didn't want to be treated bad by them. It just felt awkward, so it was really hard. But I did call my manager and I did call my second manager to let them know first that I will be resigning, and you know, they wished me well. I didn't feel any hypocrisy in it. It felt genuine. But it wasn't easy for me to resign. Plus, as I said, it felt like getting up and resigning, especially since I hadn't done a year, because I started working there in June and I resigned in February. I just didn't want anybody to feel like I am not serious, and I didn't want, because like I said, I prayed about it. To me, it felt like I was saying to God, I didn't want this job. But then I spoke to somebody, and you know, they were saying you have to fulfill different things at different points in your life. So that fulfilled its purpose. It's now time to move on to another purpose. It was not easy. Let's just say that. It was not easy. But I did it, and there are no regrets. Would I go back there if push come to shove? Would I recommend? Definitely. I would definitely recommend somebody working there. So today is my last day wearing this uniform, last day at this job. It's so bittersweet, but you have to make your own decisions, right? So everything was so fine and dandy. What caused me to resign? First, I started working there in the summertime, and you know, Canada starts to get cold in October, but it's kind of bearable. It's kind of like a bearable cold. So it's really like the end of October to November that it starts to get a bit unbearable. I went to Jamaica in November, and I didn't enjoy my trip. Like, I was glad to see my family and friends, but what felt like it should have been that trip, it didn't feel like that. And I kept pondering, I was like, what's the cause of this? Anyway, I started getting sick in Jamaica, but it got worse when I came back to Canada, and it lasted up to February. So I was sick all the way to February. I've never ever felt that kind of sickness in my life before coming to Canada. If you watch my previous videos, you know that I mentioned once that I had never had the flu, nothing contagious, and I just had been sick, in and out, ER, doctor visits, blood tests, all of that. I was like, no, something is off. And then I just want to isolate myself. Like, I just kept isolating myself. I just didn't want to see anybody. I didn't want to see anybody. It even got to a point where I couldn't eat, anything like that. I was thinking it's my anxiety, because you know I have serious anxiety, but I'm like, this is something beyond anxiety. So I started to self-diagnose that it's depression, and I'm not trying to trigger anybody, because there are people who are suffering from diagnosed depression. I was not diagnosed, and the only reason why I was not diagnosed is because I refused to go to the hospital. I didn't want to be put on any drugs for it, but all the symptoms were there. all the symptoms were there. Like, my health started going down. It got to a point where I didn't even want to shower. Like, what is this? I knew it was depression. I cried at work. They had to send me home, so I wasn't really making any money. Somebody said, "How are you?" I would just start crying. So I just know it is depression, and it lingered for a while. I think it's seasonal depression, I'm not sure, but it was depression. Like, it was depression. I can tell you that. Like, I don't play with the word depression. It's my first time feeling like that, and I know it was depression. It was a hard time for me, and I feel like it was a matter of time, because when I came to Canada in 2021, I was navigating everything, meaning I did all the applications myself, and then, you know, when you get here, it doesn't stop at being approved. You have to do assignments, you have to get a job, you have to focus on how you can get your PGWP, then you have to focus on how are you going to get PR. Everything was just lingering, and I wasn't honoring my feelings. I was just like, oh, busy, keeping busy, doing this, doing that, everything. I also was creating content for you guys. I was pregnant, I had a baby, I was unemployed, I was trying to sort out the visa for my entire family. There are people who reach out to me from YouTube wanting help. Whenever I refuse to help, it's like, oh, she stay bad, she get hype, this, that, stop follow her, stop, you know. But what bothered me is the fact that I feel like I needed to help everybody. I need to save everybody. And it was in fact taking a toll on me physically and mentally. I had my other challenges dealing with my health, and I just had to navigate like, oh, everything is fine. I was trying to keep consistent on YouTube, but it wasn't easy. At one point I kind of disappeared for a while because I just can't pretend. And to come and be like, hey guys, and I'm not feeling well, it's just not me. I lost collaborations with brand because I wasn't feeling well and I just couldn't make videos. It was a whole lot. Let me just say that. Even though making this video, it is not easy, but like I said, I'm kind of over it. I don't think depression is something that will leave you, especially since I have not taken the medication or whatever, but it's way better. It's way better, and I think once I know what my triggers are, I will be able to keep them under control. I'll be able to, you know, practice self-care. But I knew it was depression because the thoughts that I was having, I have never had those thoughts before to hurt anybody or myself, and those were the thoughts. So I knew it. Like, you know, this is the first time I'm sharing this with anybody. Like, the only person that knows about this is my husband. I've never shared it with anybody because, for one, I've shared my anxiety with people and I've made to look stupid. You know, you look like, oh, you're overthinking, that's not real, this is what you should do, you know that this is what you should do, so you should do this, why are you stuck in your thoughts? So it was like, okay, well, if you make me feel like that, imagine if I tell you these things that I'm, you know. So I was just like, girl, you have yourself, you will get through it. And that is very wrong. If you are suffering from anything like that, find somebody you can talk to about it that will understand. That is important, because it's not just talking about it. My poor husband didn't understand. Like, he didn't know how to handle it. I didn't know how to handle it either, so I understand that. But, you know, he made suggestions. He wanted to go to the doctor, blah blah blah. He was supportive in that. When I tell him just take the baby and go, give me a break, he didn't hesitate. Even after leaving a full day of work, he just comes home, takes the baby, and they go. Give me a break so I can just breathe. I didn't tell anybody else, and I know a lot of people are gonna reach out to me after this video. Please don't. Like, do not bring up this. Just pretend like you didn't see this video, please. It's very awkward, and it's just very awkward. So yeah, but that's hard for me to say. But there were people who were helpful. I went to a family over here, my spiritual brothers and sisters. Like one day I had a breakdown and they came over to me and they were like, come over. You know, everybody else was like, if you need anything, let me know. They were more practical. They said, come over, like today, come over today. I'll be preparing food, don't let me waste my food, come over today. And I went over and I was so comfortable with them, telling them certain things, and they're like, oh, you're not alone, a lot of people here come here and they are depressed. It's just a part of the process. Obviously I'm not saying this to scare anybody, because my husband, according to him, he has never been depressed, but it's a possibility. So if you are experiencing it, don't feel like you're alone, don't feel like you're stupid, don't feel like something is wrong with you. Just get the help that you need. So after speaking with them, I felt at ease, because I was hired at my current job since September of 2023, but I didn't start because at first I had anxieties about starting, and then with all this whole thing that I just explained, I was like, no, I can't do it. So my husband was like, well, just try. If you don't like it, then you don't have to continue. But he was so supportive throughout everything. He said, if you need to resign from the airport job, like I said, I had an airport job while going through all of this. He was like, if you have the airport job and you don't feel like going, you don't have to go. Just resign, take a break, blah, blah, blah. But I couldn't do that because I would be more anxious. You know, I needed to keep occupied, which I believe was one of the issues. Anyway, so spoke with the family, and you know, they provided some encouragement, and they said the same, just try the job. If you don't try, you won't know. If you don't like it, there's literally nobody telling you that you should stay. And so I finally got the courage to send in my resignation and stick to this one job that I have now. So it's my only job. So I'm just working for myself, like getting something for myself for the business or whatever it is, because I don't have a plan B right now. But yeah, that's why I resigned. I know I said a mouthful. You probably still don't even see the reason. But yeah, I resigned because I was just at the wrong place at the wrong time emotionally. So I just couldn't show up at work. I was just too sick mentally and physically. I just couldn't do it. I was leaving work very often, not making enough money because I'm not working. It's my first time ever taking sick leave in Canada because I had been sick too often. So it was just all of that. But I have no regrets, and it's only up from here. This job is more money. Like, I thought the other job was flexible. This job is more flexible. It is very flexible, so there's really no regrets. But I'm not gonna get into the detail of this current job because the video is already too long. It's my lunchtime. I'm really liking my new job. So far so good. Nothing is perfect, but yeah. Anywho, thank you so much for listening to my sad news. Don't forget to hit like, guys. Like, I work on something for myself. You know, if I'm a YouTube, I don't know what it is yet, but if it's even YouTube, get big pan it and just establish. Yeah, but we're just working on being our own boss, or having that, so that if a job move it foot, we're not drop. So yeah, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe.